It's D-Day, election day. America goes to vote. What's really going to happen to Donald Trump? To discuss a little more about the Republican Party and chances of Donald Trump, I'm being joined by the chair of the Hindu and Indian coalition of the Republican National Committee. It's equivalent to the parliamentary board of any political party in India. I'm being joined by Shalabh Kumar. Shelly, thank you so much for joining us here on the India Today Network. Let's begin with the fight. It's a very tight race. What are the expectations of the Republican Party in a polarized world, in a polarized country such as the United States of America today?
First of all, namaste to all your viewers. And this time, actually, the race is not as tight as it was in 2016. So if you were to look at the polls at the same time on the morning of the election day, Hillary was ahead by 5 to 6 points in every battleground state. Yet we showed our magic, and President Trump won the election. You know, actually, what should be interesting to your viewers is so how the electoral system works. Steve Bannon and President Trump himself have acknowledged that if it was not for the Hindu vote in the battleground states in 2016, he would not have been the president. Why? The upper Midwest of United States, we won the 3 states by just 85,000 votes. Among 150, 160 million votes, it's just
That's
the
right.
85,000 votes that decided the election. So this go around, the votes are neck to neck. The polling is neck to neck. And in the polling, by the way, you could ask some of the people, while you're conducting interviews, is a Hindu or Indian American ever polled? They are not polled because I know how the polling works. So they have their database. They look at previous records. Everybody has their 800 to 1,000 people they're going to talk to. And very seldom, maybe 0.01%, one
Right.
out of all these people, they may be talking to a Hindu and Indian American voter. So
That's an
that does
interesting
not, it doesn't
that's an
count.
interesting point. But you're making a very interesting point, and I'll talk to you about the Indian vote bank. Is it really shifting? But before that, you spoke about the 2016 elections. You're talking about how this election is not a very tight race, that Donald Trump is way ahead. But former President Trump is yet to concede the last elections. Do you think he'll concede this time around? Should it be an adverse result?
You see, actually, there also, you have to look a little more into detail. Okay, devil is always in the detail. So
Hmm.
what happened is 2020, COVID year, you know, all of a sudden 1 million votes appear after the vote has been counted in 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and all of a sudden these early votes that were a huge votes. If you were the candidate, if I was the candidate, and I'm ahead by 1 million votes, all of a sudden 1 million votes appear. So that all causes suspicion. And the Trump campaign in 2020 was not ready with all the lawyers. This time around is very different. There are
How many suits?
lawyers
How many
after
legal
lawyers.
suits are we expecting?
Uh,
How
so
many legal suits are we expecting?
no, the suits. No, the lawyers are there ahead of time, so they could prevent the lawsuits. They could prevent illegal voting. So they are, I mean, there is a lot of fraud in U.S. elections. It's the way it is. I'm in favor of you should go to the election day to the booth with your passport in your hand. That's the only way they should allow voting, because
Hmm.
otherwise, to all you have to do is, let's say an illegal alien, illegal entrant goes to a polling place, just signs an affidavit, just sign an affidavit.
Right.
Okay, I'm
And
a,
votes.
yeah, and that works. They'll give him a ballot, or give him or her a ballot. So
That's
there's
true.
a lot of fraud, here. So
Okay,
hopefully there are
but
enough
Shelley, you made a very
watchers.
important point. Yeah, you made a very important point about the Indian vote bank. A very significant one at that. This time around, there's a lot of conversation about Indians and Indian American vote bank, an influential body. But are you seeing a shift? Are you seeing a leaning towards the Republicans this time around? Is there a shift, or are we looking at the 80-20 percentage intact?
You see, first of all, go back to myself. Almost every Indian that comes to the United States is a Democrat first. I was a Democrat
Okay.
in 1972, go a long way back, but I was uh, walking the streets of Chicago in favor of George McGovern. So cold, but I didn't care. I was campaigning for George McGovern. Okay, it was a Democrat. 1979, I happened to have a chance meeting, and President Reagan, or candidate Reagan at that time, Governor Reagan at that time, actually converted me to a Republican by asking some pointed questions. I believe I am the first Indian American Republican in the United States. So that's how far it goes. So, but there's another point of data which should be interesting to you, to all the viewers. See, we have data, complete data through RNC and NRCC, National Republican Congressional Committee, of every single Hindu voter in the country. Okay, how do we get
Interesting.
that? Now Hindu is very difficult, but we have our software which, by first name, by last name, by date of birth, by the day they came to the United States, and where do they live.
That's extensive.
So we are able to extract the Hindu American voters, which are at this point in time close to 3.2 million Hindu American voters, and out of that, about 1.4 in the 7 battleground states. Okay, now another interesting thing for you will be where they have to declare their party affiliation. 85% of Hindu Americans say no party, neutral. They, they swing back and forth. This is the most undecided independent voting bloc in the United States. So they decided in the last few days, they look at the situation, they look at a candidate, they look at their economic pocketbook itself, they look at most of the voters, though, they are more in their 40s and 50s who have connection with India, and so they look at what the policies will be, and so if you get them the right messaging, uh, they
Has the
will
messaging gone across? Has the messaging gone
in the
across
last four
to the
days. We
Indians?
Yeah, last 4 days. It's late, but it's gone out. So
Okay.
right now, in the all the 30 or so channels, which are your ZTV, Colors, Aaj Tak, and India Today, and all these your own channels. So you are seeing every 50 minutes, 15 minutes, an ad which lays out the contrast between President Trump and Kamala, who is Indian or Hindu in name only. She does not
Okay.
recognize herself to be Indian American. Only in the last 7 days after the President Trump's tweet, she's now all of a sudden somewhat Indian. But she describes herself as a Black American, and opposing Prime Minister Modi.
Right.
His
Final
Yeah, go ahead.
Finally, Shelley, just wanted to know for India, final question: who do you think is better, and why do you think President Trump would be better? We've seen opposition when it comes to trade. He's been difficult on India when it comes to tariffs, and yet you and many really think that Trump will do better for India-U.S. ties. Why?
Oh, there's no question. There is it's so dramatic difference. Okay, I'll remind you first of all, 2017. Okay, India was not allowed to sell, or U.S. was not allowed to sell LNG, liquid natural gas, advanced weapon systems, nuclear materials. He's changed all that in the first month itself of his presidency in 2017. Him and President Trump and Prime Minister Modi see eye to eye on almost everything. You talk about tariffs, but there's going to be a very strong push to have a free trade agreement, no tariffs on either side between the United States and Bharat. Now, overall, globally, what you see is who is the biggest problem, existential threat to the democracies is China. Pakistan is not no longer that big of a problem. It's a bankrupt nation, and it's a proxy of China. But China is the problem, and the tariffs are going to go against China, and India and United States should be at joined at the hip towards confronting China in every which way, economically, production wise. President Trump would like to see most of the manufacturing which takes place in China to shift to India. So, India and United States are the two partners that deserve to be partners. And, like United States and UK for the longest time were tied to the hip. That's how United States and India will be under President Trump.
Before I let you go, are we expecting a lot of protests across the United States of America, particularly in Florida? Because Donald Trump is not in New York, as we can see, and he's certainly not in DC. So are the protests now going to take place in Florida?
Some protests will be there. There's always there, you know. So these are organized protests. There's a whole community of protesters who get paid for protests. I'm quite familiar with that. In Washington, D.C., no matter what, you'll see the same faces. If you actually compare who the protesters are, they will be the same faces no matter where you go.
And no civil unrest after the results? No unrest? No January 6th kind of situation by Trump supporters?
Because we have so many lawyers ahead of time. So this time, not expecting this.
Okay. All right. Shalabh Kumar, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today Global. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.